we are seeing is we are probably edging closer to what might become a full-fledged war in the region, even a world war where Iran is the cornerstone if it is attacked by Israeli, American, British, or a combination of all three forces in the near future.
It is very interesting how you bring Russia and China into this,
The UN has expressed fears of a full-scale war as the deadly conflict between Israeli forces and Palestinians continues for a third day. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned Palestinian militants that this
in the near future.
It is very interesting how you bring Russia and China into this,
The UN has expressed fears of a full-scale war as the deadly conflict between Israeli forces and Palestinians continues for a third day. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned Palestinian militants that this was just the beginning, threatening to strike with blows they haven't dreamed of. Tonight, President Biden said he had spoken to Mr. Netanyahu and said he hoped the violence would end sooner rather than later. At least 65 Palestinians, including 15 children, and 6 Israelis are reported to have been killed since Monday. In the past few days, Palestinian militants have fired a mass barrage of rockets into Israel, including on Tel Aviv. And Israel has carried out a heavy bombardment of Gaza, launching hundreds of airstrikes. Tensions have been growing in Jerusalem, partly fueled by a long-running threat to evict Palestinians from their homes in East Jerusalem. It all came to a head on Friday at Al-Aqsa Mosque. The site where it stands is highly sensitive, sacred for both Muslims and Jews. Israeli police used CS gas and stun grenades at the mosque, and Palestinian youths threw rocks at them. Here's our Middle East correspondent, Tom Bateman.
The world's asking if the region's on the brink of war. People who work to this feel it's already here. Palestinians in Gaza face the fiercest Israeli bombardment since the last all-out conflict. Israel says it's going after militant leaders. Some were killed in their homes. But civilians died in this strike, say Palestinian health officials. In Gaza, a territory under blockade, grief quickly turns to anger. Dozens have died here since the violence erupted on Monday, and they're still counting their dead. Rocket fire from Gaza has continued deep into Israel, and the sirens are near non-stop in towns close by.
Okay, that's an interception. Let's get in. Jimmy.
As we've heard airstrikes pound the Gaza Strip just a couple of miles away throughout the course of this morning into the afternoon. More retaliation, more fire from Gaza.
Under fire, Asher and his son Maor ran for safety, but their neighbour, an 89-year-old woman, didn't make it. She's seriously injured. Her carer died in the strike. There are growing international calls for restraint, but for now, it seems that no one here is listening.
It is the intensity of these attacks that has led both sides to say they will step up their strikes in retaliation. A descent into much further violence seems inevitable.
moment, probably something that's 6 months. We are only in the 5th month of this year, and it's looking like war is on the rise. You know, and it talks about wars and rules of wars, and we still listen to that. It's not officially that it's a World War III, but it's definitely coming. As the President stated, man, war is inevitable. You know why? Because those cars are for that land. They don't want those other people in there. They don't want the rest of the Palestinians in that land. And if that's not there, I'm just going to get the picture that goes in that as well. You know, it's just a bunch of heathens fighting over our land. That's the order sitting on these heathens for World War III. You know? But those Israelis really been trying to force those heathens out for years, man. And now they're fighting back. Because once again, everybody is realizing from the face of this earth that war is inevitable. Sooner or later, you know, you stuck to your gun, whatever you feel your morality or your side, the sides have been gone, man. That everything is against each other. Ultimately, this is all set up spiritually. Jeremiah 50 verse it says, therefore, hear ye the counsel of the Lord your house that he has taken from the Babylon. Because, you know, you had Speaking Joe Biden commenting on the wars and how he feels, you know, doing the devil. Basically trying to say he's not sure with the virus. But he did everything so violent and complaining. You know, because America's going to bring us back and take Israel, man. You know, as far as all this. Therefore, he the counsel of Yahweh, he has taken against Babylon. Yeah, Babylon's going to follow after him because his purpose is there. He has purpose against the land of the Chaldeans. Clearly, the least of the flock is dropping off. The least of the flock are the cause, because the least of their nation is, you know, the least nation on the face of the earth is Esau Edom. And the lowest of the nation, which, you know, the hierarchy today, the oldest is the whole earth, are these elites and these fake deals, you know, but they are the least of the flock. And it says, clearly he said, make their habitation carefully mission. The Lord's getting ready to make that place desolate. You know, he's leveling it down. But those Palestinians are fighting, that war is going up, that Israel is going to try to invade Iran and different parts of Palestine, you know, as they've been trying to do. And Russia and other nations are going to back Iran. And it's going to be an all-out war. All right? It says that the noise of the taking of Babylon, the earth is moved and cries among the nations. This is the beginning of the taking of Babylon. This is the first seed. Because I also will gather all nations and bring them out, and bring them down into the valley of the pond. Those that do it. I will plead with them, you know. And the Lord says about the, you know, the redeeming people, man. He's about to fight with these people, man. Fight with these nations for their people, you know. That's included. Because my people and for my heritage Israel, they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. So that's why you see that division and all that war, rockets being sent from just over the border of a place that's probably not even maybe a few hours of a walk from another nation. You know, you take a walk and you're already in parts of Jordan and Egypt. You know. But once again, these people are fighting because the Lord has purpose in their heart to move both nations out of their land. All those nations that have taken over the Lord's land, you know, this is what this is about. You scattering his people and taking his land and taking his goods. The Lord's about to come and take that step back, including us. First and foremost, starting with them. Because, and they have passed lots of my people that have given us work for an August and sold the drill for one. If they might think, yeah, so the Lord, hey, the Lord is coming back to jail. So, yeah, what has you to do with you upside down, all the coast of Palestine? Will you render me a recompense? If you recompense me, if you excuse me, I'll recompense with your recompense will I return your recompense upon your own head. Yeah, man, there's nothing you can give to the Lord, and there's nothing you can do to fight against him. The Lord's coming for their justice. But guess what? These nations are going to try to fight against you. Because everything is ultimately evil. Once again, the elite sets us up. Then, once again, the Lord sets us up. If that new world order isn't going to work, that all nations aren't going to assemble under the wickedness of these cards. These the ones trying to rule the world. Which everybody knows about. You can't even speak about it, but you get called an anti-Semite, which there is no such thing. For one, that would mean, if it would actually be anti-Semite, but that would also mean that multiple races that come from under Shem, Israelis, Ishmael, would also be anti themselves. You can't be anti yourself. You had many different nations that came out of Shem. And it wasn't just the Hebrew Israelites, which are not those cars are. They're Hebrew Edomites, which they come out of Shem. But once again, not to go into a whole different subject, you say anything against these people, and they're killing your character and saying that you're racist. When they set up everything, they set up all types of systematic racism, keep us down, as well as other nations, and putting over nations over us. Now even the other nations are better towards their evil doing. And I'm going to get one last question. Because ultimately, like we always say, man, it's the elect and it's the elite. So they do it, man. The only ones that's wise is the wicked. They're on the left-hand side. This is Rock 28 says, "When righteous deeds, injuries, and risks back by the people." This is what you walk, injuries, deceit, lies, without for declaration, right? Saying that that's how they got that land, man. It's proof that they are not the real Jews according to the Bible. There's no peace in them. As it is written, man. There is no peace, says the Lord Yahweh, to the wicked. The Rostrum is the city of peace. It says, "And the righteous are in authority, meaning when the Israelites return to that land and see peace more so throughout the earth." And it's never been more wicked. It's never been more of a burden, man. That everybody is mourning on the face of the earth. All right? Because the kingdom is translated from one people to another. That's what's about to happen. We're witnessing the transition of the kingdom. We're witnessing the transition of the kingdom. We're in the taking of one nation, which is deliverance, and the uplifting of another. This is our nation. The so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. You saw, there's about to be a lot of mouths are about to be cut very much soon, as well as them being cut. So with that, I'm going to interject enough of all praises for an Alabama, and Skybox, and Woman.